Hello everybody, Daniel here. We're going into the RU tier this week with Manectric, the electric type Pokemon, often found in 3rd generation and between the 2nd and 3rd gym. Well, the pre-evolution anyway, which is a lot less cool looking. Manectric has 3 abilities, 2 of which are reasonably useful and 1 not so much. Lightning Rod is your best port of call in that it will make you immune to electric type moves, and that is fantastic. Static, not so good. It would be a lot better if this Pokemon was bulky. Unfortunately, it isn't. And its hidden ability is Minus, which in single battle is absolutely useless. In double battle, it makes its super special attack power go even higher if it's coupled with a Pokemon with the ability Plus. There aren't too many of those, however, and the ones that do exist are either the same type as it or very weak, so don't worry too much about that one. Being pure electric, it only has one weakness, a weakness to ground. It has 3 resistances, however, to steel, electric and flying. Unfortunately, Manectric is so weak on both sides of its defense that even neutral attacks are likely to kill you, so don't read too much into its type. Its base stats are reasonably average in total, but it has very handy special attack and speed base 105 each. Its defences, though, are made out of paper and wet cardboard, running at 60s each. There are 3 sets because I insisted on running 3 sets with every Pokemon. Unfortunately, Manectric is a Pokemon that can only really run 2 sets. This caused me a problem, and I'll point out later what I had to do to counter that. The first set here, there we go. It's the set that you will see pretty much all the time if you ever see a Manectric. It's the set that runs the Choice Scarf. Sometimes you see Choice Specs, but Choice Scarf is the more common item. And the idea is one of your Pokemon has fainted, you bring Manectric in and kill whatever caused you that issue. Repeat process pretty much ad infinitum. At least with Lightning Rod, you have a bit of ease of ability switching if you decided to, but if you make a mistake, neutral attacks can even kill you in one hit, so it's not the best port of call. Volt Switch is a fantastic move with any type of choice item, especially a Choice Scarf or Specs, mainly because you can gain momentum by switching out, and that stops you getting locked in to, unless a ground type comes in, which would ruin your day, but most of the time you'll be fine. It's not quite as good as U-turn for, momentum, but it's the second best move going. Luckily for Manectric, it has the ability to use Overheat and other fire moves, but, considering you're going to switch out pretty much after you hit once or twice if, you're desperate, Overheat is the best power output for that, given it has base 140 power the first time you use it and 70 the second. Given the special attack drop you get from using it in the first place. Another reason to use Manectric as a choice item user is the fact that it has access to Switcheroo. Not only is that move very funny to listen to, just for me to say it, but also it's very handy because it's exactly the same as Trick except it's Dark type. Meaning that if you have a Pokemon that comes in against you, like, for example, in the RU tier you would have a Lantern. Lantern has Volt Absorb and is likely to ruin your day. You can give it a, Choice Scarf, and considering, Lantern's usually there to do stuff like Heal Bell and just sit in the way like a blockade, that is going to completely ruin it and make it a lot easier for you. The fourth move is really down to preference. Thunderbolt means you can use your stab type move without having to switch out, which is very handy. It also has a big significant power advantage over Volt Switch, being base 95 and then add stab on that. And then you have a choice perhaps instead of going for a hidden power. Now depending on what you want to hit, if you think Lantern is going to cause you issues and you don't want to rely on switching it a choice item, Hidden Power Grass is very handy because literally everything else will be resisted or, benefit, in fact, Lantern in that it can heal from electric. Hidden Power Ice, however, is for particularly Juragon in the RU tier, which can be a massive roadblock in its own right. There isn't much of a dragon threat in this tier per se, but Hidden Power Ice is very handy to go along with electric type moves to create the well-known bolt beam type coverage. The IVs for each hidden power are there in their respective colours, grass in green, ice in a light blue sensation. The IVs are there, and the EVs are really rather obvious. Always run timid to make sure you outspeed. The second set looks suspiciously similar, and the reason for this is because it is pretty much the same, but it runs an entirely different, there's an entirely different concept and theory behind using it like this. The idea is to not run with a choice item, but pretend you are running one. If you put in a life orb, obviously you're going to give away that you have a life orb because your HP will take damage every time you attack. An expert belt, however, can give you extra power on your attacks without giving away what item you have. And as a result, people will always treat Manectric, if they see it in RU, as a choice scarfer, pretty much. And as a result, they will switch into something that can resist you or phase you out. As a result, running charge beam is actually quite a clever idea, because odds are when they realise, oh, you're not choice scarfed, they're going to have to switch again to bring in a more appropriate Pokemon. And having +1 on your special attack as Manectric is incredibly handy. Because you don't intend to switch out constantly, running Flamethrower is actually a lot more logical solution than using Overheat, especially because if you've used Charge Beam and increase your special attack by 1 stage, the thing you certainly don't want to do is knock 2 stages off by using Overheat. It sort of, nullifies the point of boosting in the first place. So Flamethrower is a very handy move there. The chance of burn is pretty handy too, considering that obviously burn will break anything that may come in with a focus sash, for example. Running Thunderbolt may seem like redundancy for type coverage, and it is because you're running Charge Beam with it, but Charge Beam's only base 50 power, and Thunderbolt is 90% stronger than that. So really, it's a no-brainer. If you happen to have rain support, obviously you can't have Drizzle in RU, you could run Thunder, but then again you're going to have synergy problems with Flamethrower being half power. So don't worry too much about that. Just run Thunderbolt. It's 100% accurate all the time, so don't worry. Hidden Power Grass will be my suggestion for the 4th slot, simply because in having an expert belt, and rather than anything like a choice specs, you're going to have problems with Jollygon regardless, and it will likely kill you in 1 hit. So really trying to kill it is kind of pointless. So I would recommend instead trying to nail Lantern, because at least Lantern can't 1-hit kill you most of the time. And that's why obviously I don't have the IVs for Hidden Power Ice there. Just in case you don't know, Expert Belt is an item that makes your super effective attacks 1.2 times more effective. So it's slightly less effective than a Life Orb, but you don't lose any health and you can conceal the item you are using. Now I had these 2 sets here, and I thought, yeah, they're pretty good for covering what Manectric does well. And then I thought, oh dear, I've kind of said in the past that I'm going to do 3 sets for everything. So I cast my mind back, and I thought, well, what on earth can Manectric do? And I came up with pretty much nothing, to be honest. But then I remembered back in the days when I played Pokemon Battle Revolution for the Wii, a guy who just had an entire passive gimmick Pokemon had a physical Manectric. And I thought, just as a bit of a joke, I'll put a set here like so, just to sort of show you that a 5th generation version of it. I don't recommend this set, obviously, but the physical Manectric, you will get surprise factor for sure, but I do not recommend it in any way, shape or form, because in RU in particular, Electivire exists, and that is much better at attacking physically as an electric type. So really, it's quite redundant. I just thought it'd be quite funny to see it. And I actually did try this on Pokemon Online, and it did work reasonably well, which is even more hilariously ironic. Although it may say more about the standard of the people I was playing. Anyway, just to go through what you would do if you were insane enough to play with a physical Manectric. You would use Home Claws because that makes Wild Charge 100% accurate. And then you'd have your choice of cover. Unfortunately, physically, your move pool is very lacking. Crunch is reasonably useful. I mean, it hits Golurk, which will usually switch into Manectric very hard. And when it comes to a Fang move, just pick one and hope for the best, frankly. You're either going to go for Fire Fang and hit Klinglang, or you're going to go for Ice Fang and hit Juddigon. So really, yeah, If you love sets like this and you love gimmick insanity, then go nuts. Again, I don't recommend this, so don't use it. Ah, boy. Never mind. I'll see you all next week with another video. So, peace out, everybody.
If you enjoyed the video you've just seen, please join my Facebook group and follow me on Twitter for the latest news.